welcome back to Broadway.com. You've been here before.
Yes, I have.
You were in this room singing Dear Evan Hansen a long time ago.
Yeah.
And now you've graduated
Mm-hmm.
to Mother's younger brother.
Yeah, still sort of young, but a very different person.
Very
from
different.
Evan Hansen.
Very different. Ragtime means so much to so many people.
Mm.
Did you have that kind of history with it before you began?
Yeah, I mean, I loved the score so much, and I was shown it by my sister, who's 6 years older. She was also a musical theater lover, and I remember her showing me Audra singing Daddy's Son, and I was like, what is happening? Like, I knew nothing about the show, so obviously, like, some of those lyrics, I was like, actually, what's happening? But vocally, I was like, that's the craziest thing I've ever heard. And then, but I actually didn't know a lot about Mother's Younger Brother's music. Like, I hadn't listened to the entire score going into City Center. And then when I discovered that he has, like, two of, like, my favorite songs in the show, actually, I was so thrilled to have been given that offer.
He is a spark in the show.
Mm.
Was there a moment in rehearsal where you were like, I know how to get inside this person. I know how to do this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of I'm a little fiery as well. I'm a little angry at the world. And so I think like the thing that immediately clicked for me was like the confrontation scene with Father that happens once he sort of becomes radicalized a little bit, for lack of a better term. I was like, I know this anger. And I know this also, it's not, like, it is just anger.
Yeah.
But it's also raging against just sort of, like, the confines of that family. So it's two things at play. It's, like, being able to rage against what's happening societally and also being able to sort of, like, rage against the confines that he's been put in. And so when we, like, first rehearsed that scene, I feel like I was like, oh, I get it.
When you come on stage, there's an adrenaline rush that goes through the audience. So I'm wondering, what moment in the show do you get that rush? Is it that scene, the confrontation scene, or is it something else?
It kind of, I mean, I guess it's different every night because there are so many different moments that I'm just excited for in the show when they happen. I think the first, like, spoiler, like when the first rise of the audience, of us meeting the audience for the first time on this lift that happens is just, it's kind of magic every night. I was thinking actually a couple nights ago that I've never started a show like that where the entire cast gets to sort of like come together on this thing and we just sort of get to like squeeze each other's hands and sort of know that like we're about to do this. It's kind of amazing. I'm like, I'm going to start a show like that. Every show where we get to like sort of feel the energy of each other, meet the audience, and then finally like separate into our stories. It's so nice.
Did you read the novel by E.L. Doctorow?
I did, yeah. It's a very different younger brother.
The reason why I asked about that is in the novel, E.L. Doctorow names some of the characters. Coal House.
Yeah.
And then some of the characters don't have names. It's Mother and Mother's younger brother, and that's the way they're referred to in the show and in the novel. And I'm wondering how you grapple with that as an actor.
I think that I've thought about why that's the case a lot, and at least in the musical, and I think I'm pretty sure this is how it is in the novel, it's told from the little boy's perspective. So that's why that is what it is. He knows these people as Mother's younger brother. He knows Coal House is Coal House. He knows Tate is Tate. Like, I think that that's sort of a beautiful thing. Casey Levy and I talked during tech when we were like standing getting lit for hours on end. I asked her if she picked a name, like a secret name for herself, and she had, and I had too. But I was like, thought that maybe it would like add something to literally anything that is happening on stage. It didn't, but it's like kind of fun. Like, that's a fun thing.
Are you willing to share what that is, or is it just for you guys, secret?
I can't share Casey's, but honestly what I did was I looked up like the top 10 names of 19.
So are you John?
Yeah, it's like John, Jeff, like Eugene.
Right.
Yeah, it's like I don't even know what I ended up picking, to be honest.
Besides doing Ragtime, you obviously were in Dear Evan Hansen. And I was thinking about, these are very different shows
Yeah.
that take place in different time periods and have very different stories and different characters. But Evan Hansen has something going on under the surface, and so does Mother's younger brother.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering what appeals to you about that kind of a character, and also how you play that, because we can tell there's stuff going on for you, but you're not going there quite yet, right? So we see when it comes to the surface.
Yeah.
Tell me about finding your way with that kind of a character.
Well, I guess it's like I'm just really drawn to like a big arc. Like I'm really drawn to someone who's like very changed through the length of the piece.
Maybe because of Lincoln Center
Yeah.
and the way it is, where you're peripherally aware of the audience.
Yeah.
You can feel the changes that they're going through emotionally, and I'm wondering how that is for you on stage.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. I mean, the like sobs that we hear sort of like in the big moments are really intense because yesterday or on this past week we had a half student matinee and a half regular
Some
audience
regular
members.
people, right?
Some regular people, because high schoolers are not regular people, obviously. But we were like the way that they organized it was that the two furthest, the show is like our stage is in a circular thrust, and there's audience all around. And we had high schoolers on this side and high schoolers on this side, and then everyone else like filled the center.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was so interesting to feel the difference in reactions from like when you're standing center, you like hear the high schoolers reacting differently to everyone else, which I thought was just so interesting. But you are, to your point, like you are feeling everything. You're feeling the energy like right at your fingertips. And and so this part like he's a completely different person at the end of it.
Yeah.
To bring back to the novel, when he goes to Mexico and fights with Emiliano Zapata, he dies like very quickly after that. And I think it's interesting that Terrence McNally chose not to include that. But he's just sort of another young man who sort of dedicates himself to a cause. And I think it's interesting that this is the cause that he dedicates himself to in the time, whereas in 2025, he could very easily be a young man, like indoctrinated into the far right.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that, because if we were to pull him out of that time period and bring him to now, he could be influenced, let's say, into any kind of different political. There's so many things going on.
Yeah.
A lot of strong opinions in many different ways.
Oh, yeah.
Do you feel like he's one of those people that would be open and sort of like sucking up that kind of energy and that kind of influence?
Absolutely. I think that he is just looking for something.
Yeah.
And it so happens to be that Emma Goldman is that person
Right, she
for
lights
him.
the fire.
She lights the fire. I think about like the internet and like the people who
The
are
rabbit holes he'd go down.
the rabbit holes he'd
YouTube.
go down. Truly, YouTube X. I mean, like now all those platforms are bought and purchased by men who are attempting to indoctrinate young men.
Right.
You get onto these platforms and you're immediately inundated with pretty intense, pretty misogynistic, racist, xenophobic content. And I would hope that this person just maybe had like good at his core, but a lot of good people think that they're doing good when they fall down the far right rabbit hole or just like fall down like really hateful rabbit holes just in general.
So, not to completely change the subject, but to
Oh,
completely
please.
change the subject,
Yeah.
I was thinking about some other things that you've done, which brings me to Tick, Tick, Boom, the film.
Yeah.
And you're in scenes with Josh Henry.
Yeah.
So tell me what you sort of observed of him back then, and how seeing him on stage now, he's such a powerhouse always.
Oh my God. Like, it's insane. Lin-Manuel was at the show yesterday, matinee. Wow. So he came backstage and he was puffy. He had been crying, not to out you, but he was very moved by the piece.
That's just join the club.
But yeah, I guess. And he was like, we were talking about the last few years, and I pulled him aside and I was like, you introduced me to Josh Henry, like on the set of Tick, Tick, Boom. And he was like, that was such a crazy time. It was the middle of COVID.
Right.
We barely got to interact with each other until we got to set. So we were like quarantined like crazy. And that there's like a party scene in Tick, Tick, Boom where Josh is, I don't think he's playing guitar. He's like sort of like
Everyone's grooving.
Yeah, everyone's grooving, and he's like singing with Andrew Garfield. And I remember that day we were all like so excited,
Taking the masks off.
yeah, to be with people that my memory of like meeting Josh was just like so joyful because like all of us were so excited. And it's insane what he's doing every night. It's insane. And like He Wanted to Say is like such a dream number for me because me and Josh were talking about this recently. Like, we are locked eyes for the entirety of the song. It was something that Lear and the two of us had discussed, because it's this sort of dream state that we're like meeting each other in.
Yeah.
It's not reality. It ends with, but all he said was. I think you sort of only get that quality, that dreamlike state, if we are like completely locked in.
Yeah,
and
it's intense.
I've never done a number like that where I am like locking eyes with someone from beginning to end. It's kind of, I mean, it feels like a spiritual experience for me to share, to like be able to sing with someone so exceptionally talented and like have him sort of be changed. You know, I talk about like good musical theater, the number, you are different from beginning to end.
Yeah.
You're different from beginning to end of the show. You're different from beginning to the end of a song. And that is like a huge shift in Coal House, I think.
The whole cast is so talented. It's such a great company, but I just want to bring us all to one little moment.
Please.
Your curtain call.
Oh.
You just take a little moment. I'm not going to spoil it for people who haven't
seen. Oh, the
seen.
epilogue?
Yes.
Is that, oh, yeah.
You just take a little moment and tell me just how that played the first time you did it.
It was actually something that I remember I found the first performance at City Center.
And you're right, it's the epilogue. It's not the curtain call. Just to get it,
yeah,
just to be right. Let's get it right.
It's the epilogue. It was a total mistake the first time it happened because there's randomly like, it's just that there's like extra underscoring after my line is like not very long. And I think what happened was I like found in that, because we have 10 days at City Center, you know, you're not going to discover everything that this character is in that time. So it was like the first show, I was like, wow, I made like a lot of discoveries that first show. And I found that like there was this sort of like pride, this like
it's like punctuation.
Yeah, well it's definitely punctuation. And I think what it's become for me is that like in light of 2020, like in America, and like white people attempting to be the best allies possible, I think that like sometimes there's a little bit of like a that we do to as white allies. And whether or not that's what you get from it as an audience, like to me,
there's a reaction from the audience.
There is a reaction from the audience, and I also think it's like I'm allowing you guys to laugh. I'm allowing you guys to see this person as not like a perfect sort of like savior, righteous savior of the Black community. Like it's, you know, there's a little
he's still got a little pride in there.
Yeah, it's not totally selfless.
He's human.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming in.
My gosh, of
Always
course.
so good to see you.
Yeah, you too. Thank you for having me.